Hello, hello. What is today? Today is Tuesday, January 27th, and we are live here on TikTok. Possibly my last week on TikTok because of this new policy that has been written, and I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but either way, while we're here, we might as well enjoy ourselves and learn. So for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Elizabeth. I am a workplace lawyer and a 3-time certified coach. I love to help people to win in the workplace with common sense and the law. That's what I do. It's what I enjoy doing. And I think you can learn something. So today I am going to talk to you all about how to successfully, hey Mika, how to successfully transition into corporate America. Now, for those of you who already are in corporate America, you could still benefit from the information, because the truth is that many of us are in corporate America and we are not in corporate America doing it well, managing it well, having the right conversations, and driving the right behaviors that we ourselves should be exhibiting in order to win at work. I deal with a lot of people who will come to me on a regular basis and they're saying things such as, this is just not working for me. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing wrong. And I end up advising them. And when I advise them, half the time it's just that they needed to slow down and be a bit more intentional with the way that they are moving in the corporate space. So I'm excited to connect with you all today because we're going to have a great conversation. So today we're talking about successfully transitioning into corporate America. For those of you who are federal employees, you remember at the top of last year in 2025, we saw a lot of people, and you all experienced a lot of people having to leave their job by force or by choice. A lot of us who are on the corporate side, we saw you all leaving your federal jobs, and we immediately recognized this might be a problem. It might be a problem for us, but it definitely will be a problem for those individuals who are federal employees, because many federal employees don't always know what it's like to move the way they need to move in corporate America. So I want to give this advice for individuals, whether you are a federal employee, not a federal employee, new to corporate America, old to corporate America, you've been there a long time, you've mentored people, you've gotten mentored by people, you could still gain a lot of good information from this live. So number one, you need to understand the culture. Every single organization has a culture. One of the ways you can understand the culture is by, number one, doing the research. What does that look like? You can take the time and actually research what the culture is within the organization. Back in my day, before AI, we actually had to go to different websites such as Glassdoor, such as LinkedIn, etc., to get a little bit of insight into what the culture was within the organization. This is very important because you can always get a sense of the culture a number of ways. Number one, not just from the website, but you can pick up a little bit of information from the website. Number two, the way the job, thank you so much, the way the job description is written, right? If they're asking you to be a self-starter, to be someone who can hit the ground running, et cetera, you're getting all the information that you need to know about the company. They are a company that likes to build, that likes to grow, that likes to move. And if you are not like that, if that does not abide with how you want to be in that organization, you're going to find yourself in a pickle. You're going to find yourself frustrated very easily. So you got to research the organization. Now, in the day of AI, this is what I would do. If I could do it all over again, and I've actually recommend people doing this quickly today. What I would do is I would go to AI, go to the Chat GPT or go to Claude, whichever your preferred platform is, and I would ask as a prompt the AI to do research online to discover what people are saying about the culture. Be very specific with the language, because Chat GPT or any other AI is only going to be as good as the prompt, right? You need to ask it, what do people say as far as the culture, the work culture is concerned with this company? You don't just want to know about the work culture. You want to also know about the communication culture. You also want to know about the conflict resolution culture. Why is that important? Because if you are dealing with a manager and this manager is deep into a culture, and that culture of that organization, they have terrible communication practices. There are no processes in place. Nobody knows what's going on. People are very confused. People don't know their left from their right. Then on top of that, if you try to correct or try to receive information from the manager is up in arms because they're not used to people asking them. Like, you've got to really dig deep. So what type of culture are we looking for? Communication culture, conflict resolution culture. We're also looking for information to find out if people have said anything about HR. That is also very important, because even if you do not end up dealing with HR, you still want to have a good understanding of how HR moves within the organization, because when HR is not together, the whole organization is jacked up. I say it on every single live because it's true. If HR don't have its stuff together, the whole entire organization is jacked up, because in many ways, HR is the heartbeat of the organization. So you also want to research that. So within ChatGPT, what you need to, we're going to go ahead and do, I'm going to do an example for y'all right now. And then I'll share my, won't share my screen, but I'll show you what I am looking for. So let's say, for example, I'm applying for a role with Coca-Cola, right? It wouldn't be Coca-Cola. It would probably be Pepsi, especially how Coca-Cola was trying it last year. But let's go ahead and say, for kicks and giggles, it's Coca-Cola. This is what I'm putting into the ChatGPT prompt. Let me see if I can turn this around, actually, and see, have y'all looking at this. Give me a second. How do I flip my camera? Okay, do y'all see that? My screen is all, can y'all see it? Okay, so this is what we're gonna put into the prompt. I am applying. I gotta type, but this is like on my keyboard. So give me a second. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this so that y'all can see this well. I really want y'all to learn how to do this. It's very important. A role with Coca-Cola. I'm curious. Y'all, it's in my way. 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 Okay, let's try now. Workplace culture. Specifically, I'd like to know how leaders in the company communicate with staff, how managers resolve conflict and manage teams, and any other information that I would need as a new employee in that company. Please research, you don't have to say please, but I always tell AI, please research the internet and any websites that may provide me with the insight needed to make a decision on whether I will work with that company. Okay, that's the prompt. Let's see what we can get. It says it's thinking. Okay, gathering information. It's thinking, this is what it's doing. You guys, if the technology is here, we might as well use the technology, okay? If the technology is here, we might as well use the technology, because one of the reasons why many people end up running into a company and running out of the company with the quickness is because they didn't take time to research the industry. They didn't take time to research the organization. They didn't take time to get a deep understanding of what they're getting themselves into. Then said behaviors end up happening in the organization. Okay, here's what they found. Said behaviors end up happening in the organization. And when they happen, people are confused. People are hurt. People don't know what to do. They find themselves wanting to run out of the door. No. Well, yes, run out of the door. But at the same time, take some ownership and understand that you didn't do the thing that you needed to do. You didn't do the research that you needed to do. And that is what we're not doing. Okay, so let's see here. Coca-Cola publicly describes a leadership approach. So we got a leadership approach what this means in practice. It provides information on what this means in practice, conflict resolution, and how managers manage teams, right? That information is very important, because what you never want to do is get a job and think your manager is someone that's going to be cool, someone that you can work with, and your manager is high-key crazy, okay? Psychological safety and trust, approachability, empathy, power of the words, etc., etc. Their leadership has a model that explicitly calls these things out. Speak up, investigation, and anti-retaliation. I love it. As a workplace lawyer, I live for any language that says anything about anti-retaliation. Look, it even provides that it has a whole ethics line. So if you have an issue with your job or with your manager or somebody else, they have within their code of conduct that you need to call the ethics hotline. What else are we doing? We're also seeing how what employees are saying. Glassdoor. Now, what did I say earlier? Back in the day, I used to immediately go to Glassdoor and see what people are saying. But we don't just have Glassdoor. We have Glassdoor, Comparably, and Indeed. These are also 3 really good websites if you are looking to negotiate your salary. Great websites to negotiate your salary. So here's what people are saying. They're rating it a 4.1 out of 5. That's really good, right? If you do the research for Amazon, it probably is a 2.5 out of 5 or something crazy, right? So the goal is you need to make sure that you are doing research before you jump into any organization. It's just like if you plan on going on to date somebody. If you plan on dating someone, wouldn't you want at minimum a good understanding of who they are? Aren't you going to take some time to Google them? I mean, with all the information available, aren't you going to take some time to Google them? So I say all that to say you must, in today's day, and I'm going to flip this camera in a second so y'all can see me. You need to, in today's day, to take the time to do the research. Not all workplaces are created equal. Not all managers are created equal. Not all workplaces actually care about the employees despite what they say. Listen, if a company does not have an ethics hotline, where is it? Right here. If a company does not have an ethics hotline, they are unserious. Okay, they do not care. So I need you all to take the time to do the research. And that's one of the ways you are going to find out whether or not you are in a good company and whether or not you want to be in a company that has a good culture. Culture fit is very important. Can y'all see me? Culture fit is very important. So that's the first thing. Okay. The second thing is, from a legal perspective, I'm telling y'all this: socialize, but don't fraternize. Socialize, but do not fraternize, and do not patronize your coworkers, okay? You can be social with your coworkers, but what you never want to do is be a person that gets so comfortable. You get so comfortable that suddenly people are saying all these bits and pieces about your personal information. How does everybody know your personal life at work? Why are you running your mouth at work? Stop running your mouth, because you're going to get yourself in trouble. You think your coworkers are your friends. They are not your friends. Be friendly, but don't make friends with your coworkers. You can be friends with them once you leave the job, once they leave the job. But at the end of the day, if they get pulled into the office with HR and they say, hey, we have some questions about, let's say, Miss Latrice. We have some questions about Miss Latrice. I would like to know, we're launching an investigation, and unfortunately you're a part of the investigation because we know that you hang out with Latrice. Do you think that they are going to have your back more than they're going to have their own back to keep their job? No, they're going to keep their job. They're going to do everything in their power. Then what's going to end up happening? You're going to feel betrayed. You're going to end up hiring a lawyer because now you feel like you need someone to defend you, because at the same time, yes, you do, but you messed up. You're the one who ran your mouth in the workplace. Stop telling your personal business in the workplace. And most importantly, what you need to do is you need to get very strategic with the workplace. Number one, avoid people who gossip at work. I know it's tempting. It's juicy. You want to know who got called into HR. You want to know. I get it. But you want to avoid these people. The reason why you want to avoid these people is because if you're looking to grow your career, if you're looking to be seen as a leader on your team, if you're looking to be seen as a leader within your organization, you want to avoid people who are gossipers, because even if you are not gossiping and you're just sitting down and watching or listening to what people are saying, you are not actually engaging actively. The problem is that people associate others with others. People never say, oh, that is the one person who is by themselves, unless they're like in IT, they be riding solo. They never see somebody who is simply by themselves and that's it. What do? They immediately think about pattern recognition, association. What are they known for? What are the things they do? How do they communicate? Who do they hang out with? That is what happens. So I'll give you an example. There was a person that I worked with a long time ago. This was like, oh my gosh, this was like 8 years ago. She used to hang out with someone, let's call her Yanni, which is actually her name. Okay, Yanni used to hang out with someone by the name of Jessica. Jessica and Yanni would hang out together all the time. Both were married, both had kids. Hello, Cosmo. Both were very good at their job. But because Jessica was the gossip, Yanni got the reputation of being the gossip. Yanni got the reputation of being the nosy girl on the team. Yanni got the reputation of being the person that, though she does a good job, she's not a leader. Why? Because Jessica was the gossip. So you need to be strategic about who you hang out with at work. You need to think about, who am I associating myself with? What would people say when they think about me? And one of the ways that you would think about is, number one, analyzing it yourself. Just ask the question. And number two, ask other people. Don't ask the people that you currently hang out with. Ask other people. Say, I would love some feedback. This is the tip. I would love some feedback from you. And one of the things that I'm thinking about, in light of the fact that we're still technically at the beginning of the year, Scorpion, I feel like you've been here before, and I feel like you always say that you have a question. Go ahead and ask your question. I feel like you tell me that every single time, Scorpion. Book a consultation at this point. What's your question? My goodness. You need to go and you need to ask, right? I would go ahead and I would immediately say, here's what you say. You go to individuals, not people that you hang out with all the time, people who you may work with on separate teams or whatever. Go to them and say, I'm interested to learn what your perception is of me. They're gonna be like, oh, I think you're a great worker. I didn't ask that question. I'm interested to learn what your perception is of me as far as my leadership skills are concerned. Now, if you're dealing with someone who's a coward, which there are many cowards in corporate America is filled with cowards. If you're dealing with someone who's a coward, they're likely going to say, well, everything is great, et cetera, et cetera. This is the reason why you need to make sure you are not asking just one person. If you're smart about it, you're going to go to 3 to 5 people, because if you go to 3 to 5 people and you hear the same thing over and over, that's the pattern recognition. That is what you're known for. That is what people are saying to you, and there's likely some truth to it, even if you disagree with it. If you agree with it and you find that, hey, the advice that I'm given, there are some opportunities for me to pick myself up, do a better job, ensure that I'm showing up a little bit better. Yes, Cosmo, you can ask a question as well. Then you are getting the information that you need in order to do better with how you are showing up at work. A lot of people think to themselves, especially people like me who are underrepresented. I'm going to go ahead and hold your hand as I'm saying this. A lot of people as well will often say, I just want to go to work and go home. I just want to go to work and go home and do my job. The unfortunate truth is that when you work a corporate job, when you work a 9 to 5, the truth is that people want to work with people like them. And I'm not telling you, neither would I ever advocate for you to change who you are, for you to code switch, or for you to be fake. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is be friendly, because you being friendly, you will be surprised at how when you are friendly, when you speak up at work, when you actually begin to show up in a way that is good for you and for your future self, you will be surprised and shocked at the opportunities and the doors that open up simply because you are friendly. By you being friendly, you don't have to run your mouth. You don't have to run your business. You don't have to go drink with them and go to happy hour. That's not what I'm saying. But you do have to be friendly. A lot of people are like, I just want to go to work. Don't talk to me. I want to go in. I don't speak up on team meetings. Are you well? Is common sense in the room with us? Okay, let me see Scorpion's question. It's about ADA for my employer. Can I inbox the full question? Sure, Scorpion, go ahead and do that. That's fine. Now, look, I'm licensed. I may not be licensed in your state, okay? I'm licensed in Florida and Maryland, so I may not be licensed in your state. But still, go ahead and ask your question. Cosmo says, this past snow day, I asked to work remote, and I was told no, but other members on my team were told yes. We do the same task in billing. Did you ask why you were told no? Cosmos or Cosmos? Cosmos Vintage? Why? Do you handle long-term disability claims or bad faith lawsuits? No, I typically don't. I typically do not. No, 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 no. I typically handle discrimination cases. I don't like to deal with Fair Labor Standards Act, which is like payments and stuff like that. But no, but ask your question. I may be able to give you some advice anyway. So for those of you who are in corporate America, here's how. This is just to wrap this up in a nice bow. This is what I need you to do. And I would really appreciate if y'all would tap the screen. It tells the AI I'm doing something right. So number one, make sure that you understand the culture. Pay attention to what is being said on the town hall. Thank you, Nurse TikTok, for the follow. Pay attention to the company values. Pay attention to the corporate values. Thank you to whoever's putting that thumb to work. I appreciate you putting that index finger to work. Pay attention to what is deemed successful. A lot of people go into a job and they work their job and they don't pay attention to who is being held up by leadership. If leadership, thank you, Joanne, for the thumbs up. If leadership is constantly referring to an individual, referring to this team member, referring to the fact that this person gets things done, et cetera, if they are constantly referring to this in one or a group of people, you need to have a coffee date with this person because you need to understand what makes this person successful. And some of y'all are scared. You think that you're going to work a job and they're going to promote you just for kicks and giggles. No, you want to make more money at work. You need to be strategic. That's a part of the strategy. So pay attention to the culture. Pay attention to what corporate America deems, to what that company deems successful. Now, if you find that what they deem successful is 100% against your personal values, don't follow it. Quit the job and go get you a new one. But if you find that within that company, there is a certain archetype within that company that is successful, that is constantly getting promoted, that is known for doing good work, that works with integrity, et cetera, then I need you to follow suit. You are given the template and you are given the blueprint. Why not build on the blueprint that you're already given? Why not build? Number two, thank you so much for checking in. Number two, socialize, but do not fraternize. You're socializing with people. You're easy to talk to. You're somebody who's friendly. Don't make friends with people, but you're somebody who's friendly. Number three, be sure that you're keeping track of your work. A lot of you work and work and work, and you don't actually keep track of your work. Why aren't you keeping track of your work? You don't have no separate document. You don't send yourself emails and BCC yourself. Girl, what are you doing? And number four, I need you to be strategic. Again, avoid gossipers. Get feedback, not just on your work, but things that you could do in order to be in a leadership position. Even if you have no intention to ever be in a leadership position at that job, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to be here for the next 3 to 5 years. Fine. You plan on being there for the next 3 to 5 years. You have no intention to be in the leadership pipeline. That is fine. But while you are there, what you want to do is you still want to gain those skill sets, because even if, say, for example, they decide to promote you. Let's say, for example, they decide to offer you opportunities, etc. They're never going to offer the opportunities, the promotions, the more money, the conferences, the traveling and things of that nature. They're never going to offer it to the individual who's a wallflower that doesn't talk to nobody, right? You got to talk to somebody, girl. You got to open your mouth. And sir, you got to open your mouth and you have to speak. You have to open your mouth and you have to contribute. I know what you're thinking. I just want to come to work. I don't like these people. They don't like you either. But while you're there, you might as well make the best of it so you can continue to make more money, grow your career, or do something amazing so you have it a part of your dossier. So if you decide to go and build your own business, you can say to your future clients the things that you've done in corporate America. Now, let me read y'all questions. Let me go and read your questions. Scorpion says, let me see if did I miss one from above? Scorpion says, my PCP approved me for 4 flare-up days under ADA. My employer only approved me for 2 days. Okay. I reported my manager to HR. My manager only agreed to allowing me for 2 days, but I need what my PCP said. Okay, so Scorpion, I think you asked this question last time, but let me go ahead and address the question. So the ADA does provide for individuals who need assistance, right? It sounds like what you're looking for is some sort of an accommodation. The law specifically states from a federal level, and I don't know what state you're in, and I don't know whether or not it will be different in your state, because there are certain states that have more protections in place, especially for people who are in states like California. That said, again, while I'm giving you this advice is for educational purposes only. So please consult a lawyer that is licensed in your jurisdiction. That said, though the ADA is in existence, the ADA is not a bar none, right? The organizations have to do what they need to do in order to keep the company still running, in order to support the organization, its clients, its services, etc. What that means is that the law specifically states that if it is unduly burdensome for the organization to give you an accommodation, they don't have to do it. If it is too difficult for the organization to support you, to still be an employee, and to give you all the accommodations that you are requesting, if it's too burdensome, financially burdensome, staff burden, etc., they don't have to do it. Okay? So if they're giving you 2 out of 4 days, I don't know exactly what you mean 2 out of 4 days. 2 out of 4 days as in you're not working for 4 days out of the week? Out of 5? Clarify for me. Help me understand. Okay? Help me understand. Free will states, do they have to tell you why they are terminating you? Do they have to tell you why they are? So are you referring to at-will states? So if you work in an at-will state, no, they do not have to tell you why they are terminating you. That said, just because you work for an at-will, for a company that's in an at-will state, doesn't mean that the company is allowed to terminate you or push you out of the organization for legally protected reasons. So for example, a company cannot fire you because you're a woman. A company cannot fire you because you're Black or Hispanic. A company cannot fire you because you are queer. A company cannot fire you because you're Muslim. That is illegal under federal law. And there are also state laws that provide additional protection. So just because you're in a company that's in an at-will state doesn't mean that they can do anything at their will. Okay? Don't get that confused. Nurse TikTok says, in nursing, the archetype is younger, especially in the ER. How do you compete with that? So we have age discrimination laws that protect us. So if you are over the age of 40, you are considered old according to federal law, which is just crazy to me. If you are over the age of 40, you are considered old under federal law. And what that looks like is we have a law titled ADEA, ADEA, which stands for Age Discrimination in Employment Act. It is the Age Discrimination and Employment Act. What that means is that an organization cannot factor in your age in order to hire you, to promote you, or use your age to demote you, or use your age to give you certain assignments, etc., or even talk about the fact that you are over the age of 40. There are protections in place. And Nurse TikTok, if you're still here. Okay. Elsie says, I have a VP working here. How do I work with him so I can be referred out of here? What do you mean, how can you work with him? You got to give me, let me know what you mean by that. Because you asked the question 3 times, but you didn't give me any context. You didn't tell me, I don't know what you need, what you mean. Help your girl out. Help your girl out. Thank you, Sausage and Boots. Oh, Cosmo, did I miss you? No, I think I got you, Cosmo. Didn't I get you? I think I got you, Cosmo. Okay, let me see. What other questions? Okay, Sunflower dropped it back to back. I have a DVRO against my ex-partner who I work with. And why won't my work move him? Oh, why won't your, okay. Yeah, you need to talk to a lawyer. They should move him. If you have this restraining order and they are not complying with the restraining order, you need to hire a lawyer immediately. I personally will go to the police department, to be very candid with you. If your ex-partner is working with you and you have a restraining order, a domestic violence restraining order against him, I would go to the police department and I would say, I need this enacted, because my job is not helping me, despite the fact that they know that I have a DVRO. So, Mr. Police Officer, can you escort me and sit down and help me have a conversation with HR to make sure that that I'm protected at work. Period. Cosmo says I was already remote to start off the day and asked to continue remote for the remainder of the day. Yeah, okay. So Cosmo, what you need to do is, here's the pickle, okay? So they asked you, if I remember correctly, they told you for the snow day that you cannot have a day off or you cannot work remotely, but they let everybody else work remotely. Now you're telling me that you already started off remotely in the day, and then they asked you to come in for the remainder of the day. You need to ask why, okay? Cosomos, you need to ask why. The reason why you need to ask why is because that will give you additional insight and detail into whether or not there is discrimination happening. And I know what you're thinking. How would I be able to recognize if there's discrimination happening? It is not your job to recognize if there's discrimination happening, but it is your job to detail any behaviors when everybody else is being treated differently on your team. From your picture, I can tell you're either Latina or you're a black girl. So I'm looking at your picture and I can't fully tell. I think you're underrepresented in America, which means that you are minoritized or a minority, as the federal government likes to say. Because that is the case, you need to know why you were asked when everybody else was not asked. I would ask that question of my manager. And if your manager doesn't give you good information, I would go to HR. And I know how you feel about HR already, because I feel the same way about HR. You can't trust them as far as you can throw them. And honestly, if your arms are kind of weak, you can't throw them very far. I understand. The goal in you having a conversation with HR is, number one, to put them on alert that something's amiss. And number two, for you to document that you have raised hell about this. Well, maybe you don't need to raise hell, but you've at least asked the question about this, okay? My manager tagged HR in the text, neither responded. Of course they didn't respond. Of course they tagged HR, okay? Because your manager is a coward, and the HRBP associated to your manager is likely a coward as well. Of course, neither of them responded. I am in no way surprised or shocked. In no way surprised or shocked. So, start your document journey, because the moment that you ask questions, they're going to act like you're not being a team player, that you have a problem. They might start microaggressing you and saying, Cosomos, she has such a bad attitude. She's very aggressive. Suddenly they are tagging you as aggressive and angry and all these sorts of things, and go to the EEOC and have them cut you a check. And that's it. And it's not a guarantee. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but have them cut you a check, because it's 2026 at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, y'all. Come on. May says, if I work remotely in Virginia, but employer is based in Maryland, which state do I consult the attorney? So most of us here in the DMV, May, are licensed in all three. If you hire a lawyer in Maryland because you are licensed in Maryland, do you physically work in Virginia? No, you work remotely in Virginia. I work remotely in Virginia, but the employer base is in Maryland. So if you file a lawsuit, let's say, for example, you're not this far, May, you're not, but let's go ahead and say, if you file a lawsuit in Virginia, the court will be able to talk to the other court to determine which court has personal jurisdiction over the matter. To be very candid with you, any lawyer that you talk to in Virginia is likely licensed in Maryland, is likely licensed in DC. Most of us have all three. Okay? What if you're already a victim of age discrimination? What if, Wesley? What do you mean? What if you're already a victim of age discrimination? I don't understand your question. Raquel says I missed her question. Okay, Raquel, let me see what your question is. What's your question, Raquel? Underpaid. Hold on, let me scroll back up. I don't see your question, Raquel. Raquel, paste your question down again so I can answer your question, please. Elon Musk message. Thank you for the roses. I appreciate that. Yeah, start documenting, because what ends up happening often is a lot of people in the workplace, they see bad behavior, they recognize that the bad behavior is happening, they go to HR about the bad behavior, and unfortunately, HR does not always have The individual in HR doesn't always, will not, may not, I'm trying to be gentle here, may not always have the skills necessary to support you in the way that you need support. So because of that, instead of sitting in that and dealing with it, retaliation behaviors come up. And those retaliatory behaviors look like you getting demoted, you suddenly having poor performance, right? Your performance was fine, and all of a sudden you went through your annual evaluation and suddenly they said that your performance is bad. I mean, there's like these typical behaviors that typically happen. So you want to make sure you start documenting so that you can go to the EEOC thereafter. My manager, oh wait, I think I already got that. I was fired for exhausting my leave after an injury at work. I filed a workers' comp claim and LWP prior. Okay, great. What's happening with that? Smiley face. I asked why they didn't respond. Hey, Sharifa, good seeing you. Okay, what if you're already, okay, I think I have most of y'all questions. Any other questions for me before I drop? What happens if you extend your leave, but the newest extension was denied? Can they fire you? So no organization can fire you for requesting leave, okay? An organization can fire you for bad performance. It is 100% legal for an organization to fire you for bad performance. That said, it really does depend on what is going on and why they would fire you. What is the statute of limitations for EEOC complaint? So Nurse TikTok, it depends on what the actual complaint is. Typically, the EEOC wants you to raise your issue within 300 days. Some, depending on the state that you're in, will require 180 days. But as far as the statute of limitation is concerned, which is the claim of action in court, it depends on the claim of action. If under age discrimination, I think it's 3 years, maybe 4 years. Under discrimination under Title VII, it's 4 years. So it really depends. It really depends. Raquel says she pasted her question. Why am I not seeing your question? I'm the only one of my nationality. That's all I see, Raquel. Raquel, I do not see what else you have. Can you take leave while suspended? That is a policy question. It depends on the organization, but generally no. Don't they have to hold my job for a certain amount of time? Depending on the leave that you are on, yes. So if you are on leave under FEMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act, they cannot touch you. They can't fire you. They can't change your job. They can't demote you. They can't put you with a new manager. They can't do none of that unless there is some sort of legal exception. And the exceptions are very, very rare, and it's almost difficult for them to do it. So it depends on the leave that you're on. But generally speaking, companies will not fire you when you are on leave. But if you are under FEMLA, for sure, they cannot touch you. And also it depends on the state that you're in and the type of leave that you took. Okay. Or am I just user? Let me see. Hold on, user. Let me go back and see your question. Can I go after them for my unpaid time in this case, or am I just out all of this time? I have calculated at least 10 to 15 hours a week off clock. So user 1542, are you saying that you are working off the clock? You work through your lunches. Okay, so it depends on how you are classified in the system. If you are first of all, stop working through your lunches. We're not doing that in 2026. Y'all, stop working through your lunches. Stop it. We're not doing that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, it depends on how you're classified. If you are an hourly employee, you should not be working through your lunch. Yeah, Raquel, I see you say, can someone confirm my question is showing, but I don't see your question. So yeah, so user 1542, it depends on how you are classified in the system, okay? It really depends on how you are classified. If you are a salaried employee, the 10 to 15 hours per week that you're working off the clock is not anything that you won't be successful in claiming that. But if you are hourly, yes, you should talk to a lawyer and quickly, because Fair Labor Standards Act has the time is always ticking. The moment that you notice it, the time was ticking. Okay, if you are hourly, talk to a lawyer immediately. Okay. Okay, yeah, for sure. Okay, so I think I'm gonna drop Raquel. I didn't see any question. Yeah, I didn't see any question, but Raquel, you can send me a DM. Send me a DM. My DMs are open currently, so send me a DM. You all, I'm debating. If you caught the tail end of this, I will upload it to YouTube so you can see it. I have a YouTube channel. I do my best to save my YouTube, my TikTok lives, and I upload it there. That way you can catch it if you caught the tail end of this. I'm debating leaving TikTok because of the privacy policy. I'm very uncomfortable with the privacy policy. I will give you all an answer by Monday of next week on whether or not I will still be on TikTok. Some of you guys join me every single day. If you're brand new here, my name is Elizabeth. I'm an employment lawyer and a 3-time certified workplace coach. I help people win in the workplace through common sense and the law. And my goal is to make sure that you are getting the information that you need in order to win. Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking about leaving TikTok. I'm thinking about it. But if I do leave TikTok, I will continue to do. Yeah, no problem, Raquel. If I do leave TikTok, I will continue to do these lives. I go live. I try my best to go live every Monday through Friday at 12 Eastern Standard Time. I will continue to do lives, but I'll do the lives on TikTok. I'll do lives on TikTok. What state? I'm in the DMV, but I'm also licensed in Florida. My employer forwarded date checks and remove some people's overtime. Illegal. Depending on how they're classified, Elsie. Depending on how they're classified, it is illegal. Yeah. Yes. So I do have a Substack. If those of you like some of this content in a written form, I have a Substack. Follow hourly. Illegal. YouTube, I have a YouTube channel as well, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay, with that being said, it doesn't seem like any questions are coming up. Just to wrap it up, make sure that you are successful in transitioning into corporate America. And the way you are successful in transitioning into corporate America is by being intentional. Number 1, we're understanding the culture. Number 2, we're socializing but not fraternizing. Number 3, we're keeping track of our work. Documentation is the way that people win lawsuits. Documentation is the way that people win lawsuits. You have to document. A lot of you come to me or any other lawyer and we're asking you questions and you don't have nothing. You don't have a first name. You don't have a last name. You don't have a date. You don't have a time. You don't know when the conversation happened. Come on, people. Come on, document. It's not that hard. Send yourself a text message. It doesn't have to be complicated. And lastly, get strategic. Get strategic. Okay? All right. I want you to win in the workplace, but you have to put your common sense hats on and you got to know the law. Okay? Or you take a recorder to work. Depending on what state you're in, you're not allowed to record people. Okay, so make sure that if you are going to record somebody, that you do it legally, which means that you need to be in a state with a one-party consent state. One-party consent state. If you're in a two-party consent state, you can't do it. You cannot do it. Okay? All right. I hope you all have an excellent day, and I will catch y'all tomorrow at 12 so we can talk about it. Yes, I am a lawyer. I'm fully licensed. Fully licensed. Okay. Can a company video record you if you sign a release? Yes, they can. If you sign a release, or if they have incorporated the language and say that as a part of your employment, blah, 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 blah. Elsie, I feel like you've been here before. I feel like I've seen you before, Elsie. I'm pretty sure I saw you a couple of weeks ago on my TikTok live. All right, I gotta go. Y'all have a great one. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.